to the next keynote speaker, and we have Mr. Blaze Fernandez, who is the President and CEO of Indian Music Industry. And today, ladies and gentlemen, he would be talking about the future of music industry. How do musicians and various stakeholders need to reinvent? So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Blaze Fernandez.
Okay, at the outset, thank you, Anurag, for this opportunity. Loudest Exchange for Media, Business World, congratulations. This is your third edition. Not very easy to put these webinars together in these very challenging, times. But Anurag, you've done it again. The number of arguments we've had over the last few days. And I feel sorry for your team of Noor, Ruhel, and everybody because I understand what they're going through. But hats off to you, you pull it off at the last minute. Very difficult to come in as number 2 after Vikram because, I mean, the kind of, besides being the MD of Saregama, you also have to be the chairman of IMI. But very difficult to come after him as, one down, as they say in cricketing terms, because of the kind of thought leadership that he's actually brings to the industry and has brought to the industry. But I'll pause there. Bob Lefsetz is a renowned music scholar and a trend spotter globally. And he's called the music industry the canary in the coal mine when it comes to disruptive trends. So for those who are very, I know at these forums, there are a lot of people who are very keen on the music industry and they kind of come to these forums to kind of understand more about the music business, the recorded music industry. And I would like to kind of recommend that there are some global trend spotters and thought leaders. Bob Lefsetz, Sherry Hu, you have to follow them. I think Vikram very often, and a couple of my board members very often tweet and kind of do a lot of activity on social media on the trends. You've got to kind of follow these blogs to kind of understand where the industry is moving and how the industry is moving, especially for the people keen on following careers in this industry. I'll get back to the quote that I gave you. What is the significance of canary in the coal mine? And allow me to kind of digress a bit. In the old days, when miners went into a coal mine, they carried, because there were no warning systems or there were no kind of technology to kind of warn them of a potential gas leak or a potential danger. So they carried the canary in a cage. And when the canary kind of started to kind of flutter, or even sometimes they probably died, it was the first sign for the coal miners to kind of evacuate because they knew it was a gas leak. And likewise, why Bob Lefsetz calls us a canary in the coal mine is because every time from near death, we rise like the phoenix. We've seen, disruptions in technology. We've seen disruptions time and again. And the music industry rises up like the phoenix. And I'm very confident, given our track record, even post-COVID, we'll come back stronger, we'll come back harder, and having survived a number of disruptions. Having said that, COVID is not the black swan moment, but it's the gray rhino moment. Okay, so the big difference. A gray rhino running across can kind of have devastation effect. And that's the kind of a wild grey rhino. And that's the effect COVID is happening not only for the recorded music industry, but for the global economy as such. To kind of set the context up, let's kind of take a glimpse of what the industry is. 2019, India had some very disappointing numbers. And I feared what would be 2020. We are growing at a fairly good growth rate of about 25% in 2018. It dropped to 18%. And I will compare India to Brazil for 2 reasons. First and foremost, the government of India accepts India as the big country, BRIC, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China. I'm not even getting into China because that's for another day. But a market like Brazil has 313 million in terms of revenue. India is still stuck at 180 million. So I'm just giving you a kind of a comparison where we stand apple to apple. Brazil, like India, vibrant democracy, very culture, family culture. They love their soccer. We love our cricket. They love their telenovelas. We love our telenovela. We love our and most important, I think we have the culture in India. There's one advantage. We've got a far diverse culture, but Brazil by and large speaks Portuguese and dialects of it. India has a diverse culture. Despite this diversity, despite this number, despite all the digital penetration, we are still not even close to Brazil in terms of numbers. We've got about 133 million in terms of our deficit. And that I think is something which requires structural changes in terms of policy. I think the recorded music industry is ready for that. But I think the government has to come out with a number of structural changes, and that will kind of help and push us to the next level. The good news is that despite COVID, the India digital story is COVID resistant, and I think it's across everybody knows. The kind of investment coming into Jio, we see news reports of other telcos kind of getting into collaborations with big tech companies. So I think that's positive. We also have positive news for the recorded music industry, and the India story is still vibrant. You had, Believe ramping up their operations last year, which is an IMI member. Warner Music set up their own operations in India. These are two examples. There are many other examples. Believe acquired a major Bollywood label last year in terms of Venus. So that I think is the positive story. Again, globally, COVID may be impacting a number of industry, but the recorded music industry globally is very buoyant. And that is evident from the fact that UMG today has a 30 billion valuation. Warner Music Group has a valuation of 25 billion. And this has all happened in the last 6 months, thanks to a lot of investments coming into these markets, into these companies. They're going IPO. So I think that's a very positive sign. Tom Cruise in the movie, I think, says, show me, in Jerry Maguire says, show me the money. And yes, the money is there. In India, you kind of, we've had an 18% growth rate, which is, everybody will expect, which would be a good growth rate. But for us, it's a poor growth rate because we plan to be amongst the top 25 markets in the world. Okay, amongst the top 10 markets, in the world by 2025. For us to kind of reach that destination is going to kind of be a long ask. And now with COVID, I think to be top 10 markets by the year 2022 will be a stretch. We'll probably be looking more like 2025. In India, just 2 weeks ago, when I'm saying follow the money, 2 weeks ago, Saregama hit upper circuit for 3 consecutive days. So the investor community, very important, is bullish on the music industry, and that kind of buoyancy gives us the kind of self-confidence and the confidence. Again, when you kind of look at India as a destination, as a market, the fact that the IFPI Global Board had their annual board meeting in Delhi in the year 2019 last year is another sign of confidence that the recorded music industry globally thinks that India is a very high potential market. And I think it's important to kind of factor in, we need FDI in India, aside from local investments, to kind of ensure that, the industry kind of rises. And, with the rising of the tide, every tide rises. And as Vikram very rightly pointed out, everybody in the value chain is going to benefit with these rising tides. Another important factor that came through in the last year is we saw iPop re-emerge. I see Atul Churamani on the panel today. I think Atul will probably be able to throw more light. But I remember the 1990s, iPop saw its first emergence. Okay, Bombay Vikings, Colonial Cousins, Daler Mehndi, Lucky Ali, Shan, all these were iPop by Magna Sound. And I think we're seeing that revival starting slowly. Okay, even in that era, you had bands such as Euphoria and Indian Ocean. Okay, we're seeing that happen again. It's starting to this thing. I think the trigger was Honey Singh's album International Villager in 2011, which brought back the kind of trend. Today, 30% of Indian music is in the independent stage. Our wish is like we probably, have more and more independent artists kind of emerge onto the national stage. I'll give a small a small trivia. Pratik Kuhad's song "Cold Mess" was listed by Barack Obama as his top 20 most songs in the year 2019. That's the soft power, and that is the power of independent music and in India. Of course, COVID has put the brakes on the recorded music industry. Please keep in mind, 70% of our industry is original soundtrack, predominantly Bollywood, but also Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam. No films being released means no soundtracks coming out. And that is a rough back of the envelope calculation, about 250 to 300 crores of losses each passing Friday. This is the cumulative losses, the back of the envelope calculation. Very difficult to put these numbers together, but we probably have a better, clearer picture at the end of the year. This is money put by music labels to the producer as advances. Okay, and that inventory is stuck. So that's going to cause a huge kind of impact on our final bottom line at the end of the year. But I said, we are the canary and the phoenix. And iPop and a lot of labels today now working from home and working within the ecosystem that's available. You're seeing some good trends. For example, Gainderful in March 2020 hit 100 million views, okay, on YouTube, and is currently at 338 million, okay. And you have Sagarika, which is the local label, during COVID has released 12 singles and 12 albums. Saregama remastered, I think, 11,000 tracks, which are now going to be new soundtracks for the market. These were from their archives. So as I said, the music industry, the recorded music industry knows how to reinvent themselves. And these are small examples. We haven't yet tabulated what all the labels have done across the country, but I can guarantee you, you're going to see a lot of Tamil indies you're going to see a lot of Malayalam indies. You're seeing a lot of Punjabi indies coming out in COVID because there are no original soundtracks. So we are reinventing ourselves because new music needs to be generated. Which leads me to my next point. Recorded music industry has played a very positive effect during COVID 2019. Everybody knows the therapeutic and the healing value of music. Globally, it's proved. There's no dispute about that. And the Indian music industry has powered. Today, we have recorded statements in the media through surveys and press statements. OTT services have grown by 42% and radio has grown by 23% in the whole COVID lockdown. So we're kind of contributing to the ecosystem as well as to national health, and the therapeutic effect of music is known to everybody, as I said before. Okay, what are the positives which kind of helps us in going forward, and will probably help us? I think we welcome the dynamic injunction decision by the Delhi High Court. That's going to be a positive, keeping in mind that technology is changing and the laws need to change now. It all depends on the implementation of the dynamic injunctions decision that's been taken by the Delhi High Court. Online music and online concerts are the new normal till we get into kind of, back to our normal. The recorded music industry is doing everything in its capacity to ensure and support the concept and will ensure in smoothing the licensing process. That's, we're working hard at it across all labels, and we'll make sure that this disruption will probably give rise to a new revenue line, which is online music concerts. And my last point is the recording music industry is nothing without the creative community. It's always our efforts to make sure that we work across all stakeholders and make sure that the waterfall reaches all the tributaries. I'll stop with this final quote, which I like. Like I said before, the recorded music industry will come back stronger. In the words of Frank Sinatra in his song, "We took the blows, the records show. but we did it our way through innovation and recalibration. I'll stop here and I'll happy to take questions, Anurag, and probably Vikram will also be happy to take questions if he's there. Thank you.
Thank you, Blaze. That's fantastic. Blaze is not just a music industry leader. He's a strategist. He thinks, if I can say, he does blue sky thinking, without constraints, what is possible. So thank you, Blaze, for that bird's eye view, and especially bringing the global perspective, and also talking about how technology has changed things, also talking about consumer behavior. And Vikram earlier on talked beautifully about convenience and control. He talked about experience. He talked about how technology is an enabler, and technology by itself doesn't mean anything. And he talked about how Caravan may do what it did to recorded music, it may do to podcasts or audio in general. So, welcome. Blaze, you talked about the High Court ruling also. You also talked about the fact that music is proven to be a soothing effect, especially in times like COVID. So music is in that sense as important as food or something else. And I can say that I listen to music 1 to 2 hours. Blaze, I want to ask you 3 questions. You gave the example of a label and how well it is doing and how they morph themselves. Tell me, if we had to broadly divide the industry into artists, labels, platforms, and the managers, right? Now, what is the different skill set that each of these stakeholders need to survive in the future? What is the new skill that the artists need to add? What is the skill that label owners need to add? Platforms and the managers. Broadly, I've simplified it. So, what are the new skills?
Anurag, I think the most important skill is to have a pulse of the market. Okay, pulse of the market is talking to the consumers, as Vikram said, following global trends, following national trends, following the money, see where the money is, because at the end of the day, it's the investor who probably has, also deep insights of the investors are investing in a particular thing. So, I mean, it's not one skill set. It has to be a plethora of skill sets. I would sum it up, if I have to answer it in a tweet: be hungry, be wired, and be humble.
Be hungry, be wired, and be humble. By the way, Blaze, Vikram also talked about consumer behavior, and he said how he visited the homes of people who consume, various products and services, and he went to the heartland. He didn't sit in an air-conditioned office. Now, Blaze, the music industry is very intertwined to the film industry. Okay, and you worked you were CEO of a very large film company in the past. The film music is not happening. Last 90 days, new music at least is not being recorded because films are not being, shot. So tell us, are there silver linings in this? So Vikram also alluded to consumption of content, and you also alluded. Are new genres? One is, of course, there is music in development phase, but has it led to non-film music being written and being put out there, or we'll see it coming out in the next 90 days? Tell us, what are the positives? We know the negatives of that. Are there any positives of that?
I think the positive is a lot of people are now used to, or probably tasted or testing or enjoying the experience for the first time. And you're seeing that hike. A lot of people have gone back to radio. At the end of the day, you can only watch TV, but there's no new content coming on TV, but you're going back to radio. You're dividing your time. So we're getting that eyeball and we're getting those. I think we also seen, like I give you an example, I give you a case study of a local number 1 Marathi label or leading Marathi label, Sagarika. They've put out 12 singles and 12 soundtracks sitting from home because outside production is not possible. So whatever they had. So, and likewise, I know a couple of labels doing it in Punjab. I think is doing it in Chennai. So a lot of people are now sitting at home and using these opportunities with technology, with software, and creating music videos, creating devotional albums, creating, feel-good music and coming out. So I think this is going to be the accelerator for the indie music, because I think there's a symbiotic relationship between the record labels and Bollywood. With Bollywood in this kind of a phase, there's an accelerate. This is going to accelerate the independent movement for the indies, and it's a great opportunity for everybody to kind of this thing, because you don't need to go out there. All you need is good software. All you need is good recording. And I hope this will be the silver lining.
And Blaze, Vikram talked about the IPRS making a difference. Having said that, there are some more policy interventions that are needed to make sure that the music industry and every stakeholder in the music industry thrives. What could be those policy tweaks that could really unlock the value for every stakeholder in the music ecosystem?
I will sum this up into two simple words. Two simple phrases: fair value and value gap. Fair value is where the investor gets a return on his investments. Anurag, you run 3 enterprises. There's Loudest. You run many enterprises. You have many hats, but there's Exchange for Media, there's Loudest, and there's Business World on this platform today. You put in investments. You have shareholders. Okay. If they're getting a good return on investments, they definitely will kind of put more money into the game. Today, you have valuations which are in the billions running on Nasdaq. These are all publicly listed companies. What will attract that FDI in India? What will attract Indian conglomerates and Indian entrepreneurs to come in? If they see a rate of return. If the rate of return is there, any business works. And the value gap is, if a platform is using my content and is making money from the recorded music industry, okay, there has to be a value given to, there has to be a value accorded to the content. Once both these things happen, it's like the waterfall. The waterfall increases, and when the waterfall increases, the tributaries get the water.
Beautifully explained. Beautifully explained. I want to ask you my last question, and if Ruhail and Tushar, we can get Mr. Mehra also back. We couldn't ask him questions, which was part, and I know you wanted to keep to time because Blaze was waiting, but I'm sure Blaze would have given us 10 minutes. My last question to you is, we keep talking about technology. We keep talking about digital transformation, right? But music at the core is about content, right? At the end of the day, if the content is right, as Vikram rightly said, everything is a tool. Tell us 1 or 2 insights in the content consumption. When you look at data, you gave the example of Sagrika, but give us one consumption trend around the content, which can give you some peek into the future.
Okay. This is again another one-line answer. Visit the IMI website. I'm not promoting my website here, but every year, IFPI and IMI conduct a digital music study. And this is conducted across India. Last year, our sample size was about 8,000 consumers. Okay. Number 1 was Bollywood. Number 2 was Punjabi. But what was very surprising, number 3, which was emerging, was retro. And retro was divided into 2 classes. One was 60s, 70s, and one was 80s, 90s. Anurag, the kind of music you and I listened to when we went to college. So that was the big surprising, and I probably, which kind of overpowered and, had good growth rates. So I think those are the trends. The disturbing trend, and I'll tell you one thing, what a big disturbing trend. In that survey, 57% of the consumers surveyed have indulged in going to pirated websites. And I think that 67% of our value eroded. And I think that is a policy tweak that the government, a low-hanging fruit, can happen overnight. Everybody will benefit.
Fantastic. So since you talked about the consumption, where does Indian classic music stand? I mean, we talk about our roots, tradition. The Prime Minister is talking of being Atmanirbhar. It's like go back to Indian values, go back to what is Indian. That's a sentiment that is there in every, part of the business. Tell us, what about the Indian classical music? Is there hope for it?
I would say two things, Anurag. Most important is, I think Atmanirbhar means self-reliant. Okay, and self-reliant could also be indie pop.
Sure. Right.
And could also be indie pop. At the end of creating our own music. So let's kind of keep that discourse for another day. I think two things are very important for the ecosystem to benefit. And I think where India lacks is we lack performance centers. Let's take Bombay, for example. You have the NCPA, you have Rang Sharda, you have a few other companies, you have the platform. But I think as part of Indian smart cities, the government of India could have also introduced performing cultural centers. Say a small country like Singapore has the Esplanade. Okay, at the Esplanade, you've got Indian culture being promoted, you've got Tamil culture being promoted, you've got Chinese culture being promoted, you've got Singaporean culture being promoted, and even the Eagles played there when they did their last concert. What India needs is a touring circuit. Now, there are two ways of going about it. One is redevelop what all we have. Like, for example, in Bombay, Rang Bhavan can be repurposed, or can be, as part of our smart cities, we can have every smart city has a Rang Bhavan. Given our demographic dividends, a lot of the international investors like AEG, Ticketmaster, will come to India and invest in these policies. In 1990, 92, I think I remember the date, or 94, okay, the government of India says multiplexes can open for FDI. And Village Roadshow set up the first multiplex at PVR Anupam Saket. So we need policy to kind of attract investments. And going back to your question, classical music, regional music, independent music will flourish and survive and even grow if you've got what we call performance centers or touring circuits.
Thank you, Blaise. What Blaise is saying essentially that there is one from a policy standpoint, if we can just deal with the piracy of music, I think we'll be able to make the music ecosystem better and richer. The artists will get their due, the labels will get their due, and the platforms will get their due. Second, what Blaise is saying, Atmanirbhar, or being self-reliant means producing music in India. The genre can be anything. It can be classic, it can be retro. Third, Blaise is talking about how we need to create centers where music consumption in live experiences, and live experiences will come back in 6 months or maybe hopefully earlier. That's what Blaise is saying. I want to let go Blaise by asking my last question. If we were to talk a year from now, do you think the size of the music industry would have grown? And if yes, why? Because in the last 3 months, everything has shrunk except content consumption. So where do you think we'll be in the next 12 months as an industry?
Great question, Anurag. I mean, I wish I knew the answers. I'll answer this question when you can ask me when the COVID will be lifted up. But certainly this year is not going to be a great year because we're going to see degrowth. Okay, and content consumption may have gone up, but is that content being paid for? Is it a subscription model? It's an ad-fresh model. So that's going to that's not going to reflect on our bottom line. Okay, it's not only going to, it's also going to reflect on their bottom line because it's ad supported and you're an advertising person. You run Exchange for Media and there is degrowth in advertising. So 2020 is going to be a year of degrowth. If I have to answer your question, what's going to be the
Thank you for that honest and direct answer.